Welcome everyone to the after show for the Eaton Grange Estate grand finale. And of course, it is live this time. You get to see everyone in their like normal attire. Also, because I don't have that big thing on my head, I guess I can lower my
Wait, that wasn't your real hair?
This like, isn't my real face.
We're laughing, but the first time I saw the hair down, I was like, wait, how did you do that?
Oh my God, I live.
Oh yeah, like all my
Legit,
hair.
I thought it was real.
My favorite. Good wigs, killing it.
Ooh, we went on a roller coaster, not just this episode, I feel like all 12. How are you guys feeling?
Feeling like I was on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Feeling a little
I don't do
sick?
roller coasters.
Feeling accomplished and sad.
that it's over,
it?
but happy that it happened.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's a really good way of putting it, because like there was a lot to kind of like manage. There was so many romances. There was a lot of feelings, good and bad. We were all still trying to perform a duty, like a job. And it was just like, what is going to be the end? How is all of this going to resolve itself?
Yeah.
And well,
And I think we can actually talk a little bit about that, and then we can do some stars. We won't do wishes this time because, you know, I feel like everyone's wish is please
Season
do another
2 wishes?
season.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying no. There's definitely potential for that. You know, it's really.
I want Vigilante Lydia.
I know that's what people really want. There is a good society like a detective style game, so it could definitely work out.
I want Arthur to become Bedman.
We just start playing masks all of a sudden. We're just all superheroes.
Batman.
What are, I mean, for you, Haley, what are like the kind of like the culmination, the ending things that you do at the end of, you know, the game?
Yeah, well, normally the thing you do at the end of a game of Good Society is you would write some epilogues for your character, but we will not do that in case you know we get to see that. And then the last thing you do is you name the novel that you have created together.
Oh my God! Naming it. Oh.
Of love and death.
So, and we also have people's like desires that they had. Did anyone accomplish theirs? I accomplished mine.
I did twofold.
Yeah, same.
Dang, yo. Let me double check what mine was. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
I did the
Invisible
valet job.
Jazz. That's a good name.
Mine was
Here
Mary
and Departed.
Mine was Marry for Love Without a Stain on Your Name, and I definitely did so.
Wow.
Yeah.
You did like through and through. Nice.
Yeah.
My original desire was to find a home. And then,
I think you did.
Yeah. And then my second desire was discover true love, either for himself or simply for those he cares deeply about.
I think you got both.
He did both.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cute.
Victor had 3. The first one was to get back his family inheritance. The second one was to mend with his family, and the third and final one was to move. Well, it was to accept that Sylvia's gone.
Aw. Do you think you got that final one?
I think in the most beautiful way possible. And this is looking at the silver lining. Now he doesn't have to.
If I could draw attention to the scene of where you and Lydia were at Sylvia's grave, that came across like a beautiful moment of closure, because my brain is gonna be happier knowing that than the fact that you're dead and you're never gonna have to think about her again anyways.
Did you have planned that she had already put the ribbon around her wrist before I did? Or I had
No.
Lydia
I
did?
was surprised,
Oh.
and I love that you did that. That's like
touching.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else have a desire that they did completed? Didn't complete?
Ashes was reconcile with your estranged sibling without losing your chance at a promotion to be Victor's valet. Find true happiness and possible love. If not love, just acceptance.
Dang.
I think
You
all
got
of
some of those.
for sure.
He didn't.
Yeah.
Well,
One or
technically
two.
you did get valet.
Yeah,
You
he
did
turned
get
it
valet. You just gave it to somebody else, pretty much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Begged for Chauncey to get it.
Yeah.
You had to beg.
That was honestly one of my
You
favorite
don't want-
scenes, by the
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Are you sure? Yeah.
Victor's like,
Are you
please
really
let
sure?
me give you this job. I'm trying so hard to give you this
Ooh.
job.
No, but for real, are you sure?
Oh my goodness.
What about Chauncey? What was your desire?
I think mine was just to be the valet. Let me double check it. Best your rival and be chosen for the promotion to Victor's valet. So I did not accomplish my desire at all. Not only did I not best my rival, because my rival refused to acknowledge our rivalry, I wasn't chosen for the promotion. I was like given it out of pity and somebody else's goodwill.
It was bequeathed to you.
Yeah, a great use of the word here.
That's great.
Yeah, so 0-0 for me.
What about Ivy?
I think Ivy got most of it. It was to find a dream to chase, which may include love, but mostly wants to find happiness and to live a full life with rich experiences. So I think she found the love part with Ash, and I think she's on her way to having those rich experiences already.
Yeah,
I think-
she's staying at a Duke's house.
I know.
Experiences.
Rich.
Had a wedding.
Because
rich
Ivy said
royalty.
she was able to visit family too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like rich experiences, not in rich as in wealthy, rich as in filling and full of life.
She's like, I'm just in it for the money.
I think to find a dream, which was a catalyst from Victor, I think she's still kind of finding what she wants to put her passion in, intent in, like in a career way or something like that. So I think for that, she hasn't figured that out yet. But for Victor, now that he's dead, she's gonna really try to do that in his honor.
Aw.
I love
And then we
that.
have Grace.
Grace had 3 desires. She achieved at least 2 of them. The first one was to restore her friendship with Arthur. The second one was to repay her debt to Ivy for keeping her secret for so long and covering for her. Do you feel like she achieved that?
I don't even think Ivy needed anything from Grace. Like the
That's
friendship
sort of the
that-
feeling kind of it came out. Yeah.
Their friendship was payment enough if there had to be a transaction of any kind. But yeah, she just liked having Grace in her life.
I
yeah,
feel
the
like
friendship was nice.
all of the friendships and relationships between the characters was really interesting, even the connection characters. But let's talk about our stars from episode 12. I know there's too many. Try to only pick one so that we can spread the love. We'll go around the table then on here. So starting with Haley, and then so on and so forth.
Well, I'm first. I get to take any star. Any star.
I know
that
you're usually
wish.
last.
Yeah. I have to say that I would like to star how well everyone seated in the unfortunate events that occurred at the end of the session and the circumstances around those, particularly Noir. You had quite the job there, and did such a wonderful job of that job.
You did a great job, Diane, sir.
Did a great job with all of that, and also that the difficult thing that is finishing off Victor's story as well as that, right? And I think you did that wonderfully, and the speech was really wonderful. So that was my star.
Great. And then Victor, up next.
Oh boy! All right. So
Speaking of Victor,
there's so many to pick. I think I'm gonna get in on this one early. The proposal from Ash to Ivy was just so wholesome and sweet and just good, and it's everything that I wanted.
Yeah, he got the name right.
oh, I can't
To be
believe
fair,
you
I
did
don't know
that,
Ivy's
Tyler.
mother's name, so
Well, okay, but I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to do this. It went completely unnoticed, and I felt so bad for you that this went unnoticed. But Ivy called Ash Arthur at the beginning of that.
I
Oh,
noticed.
oh my.
And there was no reaction. So I
And
was like,
nobody
okay.
said.
I didn't hear that.
Nobody said. I'm like, Tyler, I'm so sorry, bro.
I love that you noticed that because I looked to Margaret. I'm like, you're my reactive person. If you
I know.
don't react,
I didn't hear
then
it.
nobody must have heard it. So I'm like,
I didn't hear it. Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh no, it's again. But like everybody moved on.
Kyle,
I have to watch that back.
I need to watch
Can we get a
that
referee?
back. Yeah, replay.
Official. We
Tyler
need an
feel
official.
better. It was just to make Tyler feel better. That's totally why that happened.
Totally.
That's totally what happened.
Look at Katie's like, no.
No.
I don't remember doing that, but I mean, I believe that it probably happened. Oh no!
So technically, Ivy's very sorry.
It was so
Oh my
smooth though.
gosh.
Like,
How did I miss that?
How did I miss that? And I said
How
it
did I
apparently.
miss that? What?
That's what I'm saying. Nobody noticed it.
I know.
Why
was
did
gonna
you
be
say
like,
something?
I'm supposed to interrupt this sweet moment and go, well, actually,
I
you
did.
should-
I did it
I
last
did
time.
it. I
So,
couldn't.
yeah.
I couldn't keep it together when he said my mother's name. I was like, I can't keep going in this scene with you saying my mother's name.
In all fairness, Lydia and Lavinia start very similarly and end
Ash
very
and Arthur.
similarly.
Ash and Arthur. Yeah.
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 And they both start with A's, so like the names are a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people to keep track of. No, I
It
have to
is a
watch
lot.
that back. I don't remember doing
Poor
that.
Haley, like she's literally 90% of the cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
We were saying that if we had a movie, Haley would just be like talking to herself, changing characters.
Everywhere.
Mustache on.
Yeah.
Moving on to B. What was your favorite star?
Honestly, it was the letter that I got or that Chauncey got from Ivy. Because that I can't even express like how that made me feel, be the human versus Chauncey the character, because like Ivy went through the ringer, and it was just so nice to have like in writing that you're gonna be okay. So that was just really wonderful because I felt so necessary, and like that was a door that needed to be closed because Ivy deserved love, like everything on that desire list of yours. You know, I didn't think you were ever going to accomplish that, so it's really cool that you were able to kill it. Not kill it. That's Victor. It was really cool.
Ivy
You were,
killed
it wasn't
Victor?
me.
Ivy killed Victor? Is that what I heard? You would cover that up for her.
The lady in red is back.
I mean,
That's so good. I want to hear the theories of people of who they think did murder him, because like we left a lot of little holes for you to pick and prod at. It's pretty fun. Moving on, we have Kyle. What was your star?
I have to say, the Jeffrey George scene of just like Arthur being like, I'm not doing this. And then Victor stepping out like, hold up, I will do this. And then not only doing that, but like, hey, valet, hold this box and just go to town. I love that so much. And then the other thing was like how the scene transitioned to it. Like it was like, you know, it's like it's about to get heated, and then it was like a Star Wars-esque transition of just like swipe and like, oh, everything's nice at this wedding, but outside, you know, it's going down.
It was very good. I loved it. And I also love the juxtaposedness of like the way Arthur and Victor handled this situation versus the situation at the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good growth.
And then we have Play Katie Play. I don't know why I like saying that, but I just enjoyed seeing your Twitter handle.
I know I had to do that because I tried to make an account on PlayStation once, and they said my last name was inappropriate, so I had to make it. Because Peters is like a.
Oh.
So I had to come up with something on the fly, but also Katie Peters' place doesn't fit in the at. It's one letter too long, so Twitter tried to ruin my day. I liked the Tom and Ash scene because Tom finally called Ash his son.
I teared up.
Yeah, I liked that. I do feel like there's so many things that I really enjoyed about this episode, though, and I don't want to take anyone else's star. But yeah, I just feel like everybody had something today that was special, and I really liked that.
And then we have Tyler. What's your favorite?
I have to give it to Kyle on this one with Ash's speech. To me, it was very, very moving and absolutely it was funny because I know both you and Noir like scrambled to put the speeches together during the show.
Yeah.
So when it came out, both of them came out the way that they did. I was just like in awe.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just have to give it to you, Ash.
I was a copywriter before, so I'm good at it on the spot.
It was so good. I was tearing up during that speech.
I appreciate that, man.
It was
more than you know,
sweet.
yeah.
I definitely was as well. I think for me, I'm going to give mine to Chauncey and Victor's scene. I teared up in that scene as well. Like, very, very... It's just interesting to see all the different characters and how they interact. And you would never think that Victor and Chauncey would have that kind of conversation, but they did. So it's just beautiful.
It felt nice.
Everything. All right, so now we'll take some questions from chat. The first one we have is actually, did we know that Victor was going to die? In our after show for episode 11, at the end of it, Tyler was like, I'd like to wish for a tragedy. And
okay. Can I explain my thought process there? I was sitting there and I was thinking about how I would write the story. And when you hit a penultimate episode, you usually want a pretty good crux where it's like, this is a pinnacle moment, but it's not quite the pinnacle. So I'm like, how do we escalate from here? And I was like, we can't really go up from a proposal in positive emotion. But what we can do is mirror it to become a major tragedy and loss at the very end. And that's a way to escalate, so to speak.
And obviously we all agreed. It was one of those things where I was like, we have to all agree on it. And then based on what our lines and veils are, which I repeated to everybody, I think I might have done that off camera. I was like, because, some people like to keep those things private. So I did share with people, like, those things were off the board, so we could not touch those. But there were potential other options. And we did come up with actually a different ending at the end of that. But then this morning, I was like, what if? And everyone was interested in that idea, and we kind of laid the plot of a murder mystery.
And I do have to say, it was completely 100% pure selfishness on my end that I wanted Victor to go. Like, if we're gonna have a tragedy, I feel like the only person that could have some sweet to the bitter of it would be Victor.
You really championed for Victor's death, though.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a tragedy, and you were like, it has Victor has to be the one. And it felt right, but still.
I don't want nothing to happen to Chauncey.
Chauncey's got some writing to do, man. I feel like Chauncey still has more growth too that could be interesting to see played
Absolutely.
out.
It's just it's crushing.
I'm actually curious if there's going to be a slight regression after the emotions and stuff that just happened.
Oh, Chauncey will spiral. Absolutely.
And you have to think about how this started, right? Like, it started with Victor and Lydia and their mother and their siblings losing their father, right? Like, it's gonna... Imagine what it's like for Lavinia and that family, like the Ward family now that they've lost somebody else.
Oh. Dang, the loss in this.
Yeah.
Beautiful and just so tragic, but I love how we've handled it.
I liked how everyone put in little pieces of themselves missing during the events, and
We were all really good at that. Mm-hmm.
Or implied other people weren't where they were supposed to be. It was very interesting.
Yep.
Everybody's contribution to making this just even seem more mysterious, you know? We wanted to muddle the waters, and I think we killed it. Or I think we nailed it. I gotta really adjust my language.
The real question is, where was Pathos during all of this?
Mm-hmm.
Where were they?
At the theater.
Probably right garbage.
Were they measuring their dent in the stage floor?
I'm sorry. I got possessed by the ghost of Victor.
I would love that twist. I'm not joking.
It would be interesting.
I would love season 2 begins with a seance. We're all like,
There is a magic
Oh my
version of Good Society as well.
What?
Yeah,
What? Ah!
there's magic. Our next question is, were these character matchups made from the start, or was it organic as the story unrolled? And I will say this one thing. There were a couple relationships, specifically Grace and Lydia, that was pre-planned originally, that we were, privately engaged in relations. I don't know if anyone else wants to talk about.
I mean, yeah, Ivy and Chauncey were... We knew that there was going to be relationship questions from the beginning. We had kind of planned, Ivy has always kind of had feelings for Chauncey, but Chauncey's been this bumbling, naive, unseeing person. And what came from that, though, was all the craziness in our brains.
Yeah,
I will-
I feel.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Ivy was potentially maybe interested in Arthur, but then the stuff with Ash was not planned. That just kind of organically happened.
It was planned from day one for me. I put my wish in there. I was like, Ash and Ivy, love.
It somehow it panned out.
It panned out, yeah.
so
Ash and Arthur being brothers was planned. Arthur courting Lydia was planned. There was Katie and I talked for a brief moment about the potential line between Ivy and Arthur as well, and then
I love that.
Nora and I also planned the whole stuff with Arthur and Victor. So,
and I mean, you even said in the after show last episode that for a long time you thought it would be Victor who you would propose to. Yeah.
Yep. And then also Grace and Arthur's friendship was planned.
So a lot of that comes into just how Good Society works in that you start the game with a playset, which does give you some of the characters' desires and their relationships. So, Grace's desire from the beginning of the game was to restore the friendship between Arthur and Grace. And so that was an important part of the story. And what that does is it's just without having to sit down and plan, I guess, in the adding details of what's going to happen going forward, it gives your character a past and sort of a backstory and a motivation to act on, so that kind of when you get into the first scene, the stage is kind of already set for all that drama without needing to plan anything in the future. And a really interesting thing that happened from that initial discussion is that the courtship between Lydia and Arthur wasn't part of that playset. But when we sat down to sort of flesh out the characters a bit more, you're like, hey, this would add so much drama. And it added so much drama because it actually accidentally created 2 love triangles.
Yeah.
Whereas we went from 0 love triangles to 2 love triangles. And so the amount of extra drama that created was a lot. And I'm glad that we went down that path.
Especially because when we sat down at the table, we had agreed that we wanted to make a romance drama. That was our goal.
Yeah.
So with romance dramas, you think the novella style is very much lots of relationships, confusion about what relationships are relationships. So I think we touched on a lot of different things and a lot of different depths with those types of relationships, which I thought was really cool. Next question we have is, love Chauncey, but there were times when it was hard to figure out if Chauncey was the good guy or Among Us level plant.
Oh my goodness.
When the imposter is sus.
They were wondering if you saw your character as like that kind of character from the start, or if it kind of just became that.
Did not plan for Chauncey to be awful. Like awful. I don't play in a lot of like large groups, especially like in tabletop and like streaming tabletop settings. So it was immediately, I was like, what is my character trope? And we got like the really lovely individual with Ash. We got like, I'm sorry, Arthur, this was my impression of you at the beginning. Like this smarmy, almost like self-righteous individual. We had like the dainty, head empty, but super pretty Lydia. So like there were a lot of tropes that I really loved to have played. And I didn't know like, what do we not have? And honestly, we didn't have an asshole. So it felt like the right role to fit, but it was difficult. I hated breaking your heart, Katie. I hated friend zoning. I hated giving away everybody's secrets. I told like most of the estate secrets to
Lavinia,
Percival.
Percival.
Oh, Percival, yeah, that too.
Oh yeah, just lied to the Countess's face, spied on Victor, just almost ruined Victor's relationship with his mother. There was just so many terrible actions that character took. If
he threw Harmonia under the bus too.
Yeah.
The child was like 9 years old. No morals. This character just had like, I couldn't figure out what wouldn't he do? You know?
But the thing that made it so perfect to me was not that you were the asshole. It was that you facilitated so many of the dominoes that fell to create the drama that everything became.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and some of us really fed into that too by giving you lots of secrets.
You overheard this.
Yeah.
You overheard this. Oh, it was perfect.
It was very funny, like B, when you came back after a session and we're like, oh, by the way, here's a list of things you know now.
Legit list. And it was kind of like, oh, dang. So that was the role that just felt right to fit. But there was some struggle bussing. But I will never forget this whack-ass character.
It's such a good character. I feel like, you know, it's one of those characters where you like love to hate them. Like you're like, they're so bad, but I love them.
Yeah.
I love what they bring to the table. So it's a great question.
Like I love that character so much. I want to defend you against called a whack. Like, you don't talk like that.
I love it.
I adore Chauncey. So I'm very excited to see the journey that Chauncey goes on next. So our next question here is, did you all know that Arthur was going to be a duke from the beginning?
No.
No.
So that was something, I want to say we were about a third of the way through the show. And I was sitting there and I realized that like, why does Lavinia suddenly want Arthur to court Lydia? And it's like an inheritance of money. Like they have a massive estate. Money doesn't make sense. Like I understand that they adopted him. And I was just sitting here like, what would add to this that would be something that would be hidden and be important? I was just like, well, a place of station, and the only thing I thought of immediately was Duke, and so I messaged Haley and we talked through it.
I loved it. It set up like a very interesting scene between you and the Countess, where there was like that power difference, which I thought was fun. And the sassiness
really
you got.
Plotline.
Yep.
All right, we are past our 30-minute mark, so I'm gonna wrap it up with one final question, which is, what is the one biggest moment that made a shift in your character? Like that moment that made the shift in your character to change or progress in some way. And we'll go around in the same order. So starting with Grace.
Yeah, actually, I know exactly what Grace is. It's when Lydia and Grace talked at the ball. Grace said some stuff, and then Margaret, I remember you saying for Lydia, like that she nods, but it's clear she looks uncomfortable. And when you said that, I was like, oh, I know Grace is going to break it off now, because when she sees Lydia looking uncomfortable, she's like, I don't want this. So that was like the moment that I knew that Grace was going to end that relationship properly.
That was...
Since Lydia had already sort of started it, the process of ending it, I know that was when Grace was going to let go.
Yeah, when you handed her the ring, for sure, it was the moment where I think Lydia realized it was the end for you. But I don't think it was the end for Lydia. But I'll go next. So for Lydia, I think that her moment of progression was really actually in the theater, when Arthur got himself into trouble. I think initially she was like, I'm going to protect my brother, but then Arthur punching someone and her feeling like she needed to do something, like anything, even if it would have put a stain on her name, she was willing to like risk anything to make sure his name, you know, didn't get caught in fire, or that he didn't. I think it's the moment where she realized that if you love somebody, you're willing to do anything for them to protect them, and that if she had felt that way about Grace, she would have done that a long time ago, and that what she was doing to her wasn't right. I feel like Lydia was the least progressive character in this, to me.
Mm-hmm.
Outwardly, because like she didn't have like crazy drama or anything of that sort, other than like her father dying. But I think really what it was for her was the progression of learning what really love is versus what lust is, or the desire for somebody. Victor.
Playing Grace, I really felt that.
Sorry, Haley.
Oh no, I meant that in a positive way, like, because I was approaching it from that angle. I really could see Lydia's progression through the series.
Oh, aw.
Gotcha.
I like that.
Okay, so for Victor, it was the conversation with Chauncey on the night of the ball, like after confessed to Arthur, and after having the conversation with Lydia about his family, about how he wasn't able to emote. He kind of went numb after that for a while, and that's because he like truly hated himself. And then like that conversation with Chauncey, where Chauncey's like confessing all this heinous, just vicious shit that he's done to Victor. I think Victor saw a lot of himself in that moment. He was just like, I hate myself, but this kid is just like me. Maybe I could save Chauncey from being like me. And like that's where it kind of changed. That's where Victor kind of started changing. I
like that. Like you see your own reflection and you're like, whoa.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If this is what other people think of me. Yeah.
This kid is a mess. Is that how people see me? Oh no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Chauncey. Hey, Chauncey.
So similarly, the servants' ball, there were like 3 pertinent moments that really made him think, holy crap, I've really messed up. The fox fur and Ash's reaction being a dramatic reaction, because he was worried that Elwood was injured. Yep. And then Ivy and Chauncey finally having a conversation and being able to break down the barriers that they'd kind of put up themselves. And then finally getting like the talking to of a lifetime by Mr. Beddington. At the time, it was brilliant. And like, again, the way I tried to play Chauncey in that time, drunk, kind of belligerent, but those 3 moments were just transformative because you can't go back from that.
It was beautiful to experience from a viewer's side, those scenes. So thank you for that. And of course, we have Ash.
Oh man, I think for me, when I kind of like put like the idea of Ash down on a piece of paper, it was more so like, hey, this dude has gone through a lot, has definite like in a different way trust issues than you think. Like in his brain, he's like, oh, this is a job. I want to do everything I can protect to keep this job, but I don't think that I'm worth being loved because of my parents. And then just like the coincidence of, you know, Mr. Beddington being there and that being a half brother. And then there's so many things like Ash would only open up to Tom because Tom was his, you know, basic father, you know, and then it wound up to saying, wait. Because every time, you know, Arthur would try to be a brother, it'd be like, nah, I'm good, dude. I'm good. And so I think it's a lot for Ash to get to the point of like, hey, bro, by the way, you want to get married to Ivy? You know, I think that's yeah, very much opened up. And it meant a lot when Tom Morgraine, you know, did the, you know, you're like a son to me. And I'm like, oh, sheesh, man. And more than you know, that it was just a cool experience, the entire thing.
It was on the wish list for sure. So I'm glad we were able to get it in the last episode. It was a beautiful moment. And of course, we've got Ivy Stewart.
I think Ivy's turning point moment was when they were all at the bar and she and Victor were talking. Like, that was the moment, like, she kind of admitted, like, it's Chauncey. But then Victor specifically said, oh, Chauncey's in love with ambition right now, something along the lines of that. And it was like a switch. And then that was the encouragement that she needed to be like, you know what, you're right. I deserve to go after what makes me happy, and also, you know, go after a dream, which was something she didn't think. She just thought Chauncey was the dream. And yeah, so I feel like that conversation at the bar was the moment that Ivy said, oh, there's a lot more in the world than just what's right in front of me, and kind of opened up the world for, oh, I should talk to Ash, and, you know, maybe I should help make cupcakes and put people's faces on them and things like that, that she normally would not have done because she's, you know, super hyper focused on what Chauncey's doing.
I loved it. It was definitely interesting to see how Ivy handled love in all the different ways and attention from other people.
Pathos punched someone, so that wasn't gonna work. Oh no. Arthur punched Pathos.
Yeah.
But then Pathos was like, I'm gonna sue or something. And it was just like, this is messy. I don't want to be involved with this. Ash is calm and kind, and that's what I want. So yeah, I don't think Pathos stood a chance. I just love that Chauncey's still trying to ruin their life.
Oh, of course.
I mean, it's Chauncey. I don't think any of us are surprised. Oh my goodness. And of course, we have Duke Arthur Bed.
Arthur started off pretty much exactly like Bede described. He was very much like, I'm a man of honor, I'm a gentleman, I'm going to follow duty, and that is all. And he shifted a lot. And so, like, picking one big shift, I think I have the biggest one in mind, but he shifted when he found out about his inheritance and saw the estate. He kind of became a brat.
Yeah.
Then he had a massive shift with regard to, like, the punching of poor Pothos, or I always screw up the Pothos.
Nobody,
it's
we
okay.
all it changed.
It's
That's fine.
Pothos,
Yeah.
but everyone keeps saying his name wrong. It's fine.
Constantly. It's whatever we want it to be for them.
I think
Like
it's funnier that everyone says his name wrong because they hate him so much.
That punch was also a big shift in him as well, because it was all of a sudden, I am a duke and I need to be a duke and act like a duke. And yet still he did the thing with Jeffrey George, and that shifted things and put things in perspective for him with his relationship with Ash more so, and realized he went from being like, this, I have to be a duke, I'm in charge, to being like humbled a little bit and being like, I'm not in charge of other people's lives. But the biggest shift, I think, of all of them was the realization at some point in between the punch and in between finding the inheritance, when he realized that home wasn't a place, and that Eaton Grange, because of Victor, because of Lydia, because of Lavinia, was home. when he finally felt like he belonged at Eaton Grange and was not an outsider that they were just had pity upon and brought him in to be this person. He finally felt safe and accepted and a part of the family.
That's beautiful and so sad.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I got a lot of joy out of Lavinia and Arthur's relationship that I was not expecting at the start of the series, like, and the way that progressed as well. So thank you for that.
I thoroughly enjoyed every relationship Arthur had with everybody.
I will ditto that from my perspective. I loved everyone's relationship with everyone. I think we all have fallen in love with these characters, even the side characters. So we are quite over for our after show. So going to be wrapping it up here. But thank you so much to all of you who have tuned in and watched our journey and our story here. We hope that you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed being able to tell it and be part of it. If you'd like to support us, like we said before, head on over to Patreon. That's like really the best way because you get cool rewards in return. And then also beyond that, subscribing to us on Twitch and becoming a member over on our YouTube channel. And with that, we are going to wrap up our Eaton Grange estate, which is our campaign name that we have come with. So perhaps you will see us on Crawford Park or somewhere else in the future. But for now, we will bid you all farewell. Thanks